Hello. 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 Is it okay? वॉल्यूम ज्यादा तो नहीं है? Yes, all my students, am I audible? Not so clear. I think it's clear from my end. Okay. So let's continue with this chapter, the enemy. So quick recap, what we did earlier in this chapter. Dr. Sadao just sees an enemy soldier in an unconscious state coming onto the shore. Unwantingly, he and Hannah, his wife, take this enemy soldier to the house. With the intention, they'll recover him and then get him arrested to the officers. The conflict of duties was there in the mind of Dr. Sadao. Should he, as a doctor, save the life of this enemy soldier, or should he, as a patriot, get this enemy soldier killed or get him arrested? They take him to the house. Dr. Sadao performs the surgery. There is no help from the servants in the house. And Dr. Sadao and Hannah, they themselves have to take care of this enemy soldier, white man, whose name is, what's his name? Tom. When this person is a bit recovered, when the last day of the stitch, the last of the stitches was removed, Dr. Sadao decides to type a letter to the chief of the police to make a complaint. But he does not have the courage, and he just leaves that incomplete letter in his desk. 7th day after this, okay, on what date did the enemy soldier come floating in the unconscious state? Do you remember the date? Come on. 21st February. Please remember this date. This is the day when he came floating in an unconscious state. क्या हो गया? Seventh day after this, two things happened in the house. First, the servants left the job. Hannah was sad and scared. Sad because the servants had served in the house for so long. Particularly, the gardener and the cook were right from Dr. Sadao's childhood. And Yumi, the maid servant, had nice affection with the children. So she was sad. And she was scared also. She just thought, what will happen if the servants go and complain it to the officers in their own way? But she did not show these emotions onto the servants. She thanked them and paid them salary and wished them bye-bye. The next thing happened later is when Hannah was relaxing after this unaccustomed labor, she just saw some officers coming to the house. She just got scared. She realized that the servants must have told. They must have complained. And the officers have now come to arrest Dr. Sadao. But it turned out to something to be else. And the officers had come because the general was in pain again. He needed the medical help from Dr. Sadao. Dr. Sadao sees the fear on his face, on the face of Hannah. And now he decides that whatever, so he will complain about this white man to the general. And he goes to the palace of the general. This is where we stopped. Let's continue. So you have to start from page number. Page number 40. Sadao goes to the general. Now Dr. Sadao informed the general about the presence of the white man. Of course, the general said weakly, I understand fully. But that is because I once took a degree in Princeton. So few Japanese have. Princeton is an American university. So the general has studied over there. So just trying to say कि yes मैं समझ सकता हूँ because I also studied in America. So some affection may be there with the Americans. I cared nothing for the man excellency, Sadao said. But having operated on him with such success, मुझे कोई लगाव नहीं है. I just successfully did the operation. Yes, yes, the general said. It only makes me feel you more indispensable to me. Indispensable is unavoidable. यही कारण है मैं तुमको avoid नहीं कर सकता हूँ. Evidently, you can save anyone. You are so skilled. You say you think I can stand one more such attack as I have had today. तुम तो किसी की भी जान बचा सकते हो. अगर मुझे वापस ऐसा अटैक आया, will you be able to save me? Not more than one, Sadao said. एक बार और मैं I'll be able to save you. Then certainly I can allow nothing to happen to you, the general said with anxiety. So the general was planning to save Dr. Sadao for what reason? Did he like Dr. Sadao? That's the reason, or he wanted the help of Dr. Sadao? He wanted the help of Dr. Sadao तो for his own personal selfish motive में भी तो मैं तुमको कुछ होने नहीं दूंगा. His long pale Japanese face became expressionless, which meant that he was in deep thought. You cannot be arrested, the general said, closing his eyes. Suppose you were condemned to death and the next day I had to have my operation. Condemned is punished. अगर तुमको मौत की सजा सुना दी जाती है, तुम तो गए ऊपर, अगले दिन अगर मुझे ऑपरेशन की जरूरत पड़ी तो मेरा क्या, मुझे भी ऊपर आना पड़ेगा तुम्हारे पास. There are other surgeons, Excellency, Sadao suggested. None I trust, the general replied. The best ones have been trained by Germans and would consider the operation successful even if I died. I do not care for their point of view. Now when you read this paragraph, don't get confused at all. It's a bit twisting. Whenever the students went for their medical studies abroad in the earlier years, there were two places, America and Germany. Whenever the Americans were taught medicine and surgery, they were told to have compassion, pity towards the patient. Don't be ruthless. इंसान समझ के इनका operation करो. Hence, Dr. Sadao had the habit of talking to the patient, and what did he call his patient? My friend. Whereas the Germans were ruthless. They were nicely trained, but they were told no personal attachment, no liking, no human grounds. This is an object you have to operate. ये चीज दिमाग में रख लेना. This is what this paragraph is about. So just says the most of the doctors in Japan are trained in Germany, and they'll consider the operation successful. वो तो बोलेंगे हमने अपना काम कर लिया, भले patient मर गया तो. We have done our work. We could not save him for some other reason. I do not care for their point of view, he sighed. It seems a pity that we cannot better combine the German ruthlessness with the American sentimentality. Both are knowledgeable, both are experienced, but the way of working of these surgeons is different. मतलब कितना है कि हम दोनों qualities, which the German ruthlessness and the American sentimentality, this we cannot combine. Then you could turn your prisoner over to execution, and yet I could be sure you would not murder me while I was unconscious. So just trying to say, if both these qualities are mixed, I know I will be safe. They will not kill me even though I am unconscious. The general laughed. He had an unusual sense of humor. वो खुद अपनी बात पे हंसता था. Yes, उसका maybe sense of thinking, the sense of humor was something different. As a Japanese, could you not combine these two foreign elements? Which two foreign elements? Which two foreign elements? The German ruthlessness with the American sentiment. वो बोला कि दोनों चीज को combine कर सकते हो? He asked. Sadao smiled. I am not quite sure, he said. But for your sake, I would be willing to try. तुम्हारे लिए मैं कोशिश कर सकता हूँ दोनों elements को mix करने को. The general shook his head. I'd rather not be the test case, he case. वो तो मुझ पे तो ये कोशिश मत करना. Yes. He felt suddenly weak and overwhelmed with the cares of his life. Overwhelmed? What is overwhelmed? Yes. What is overwhelmed? Overwhelmed, OM is extremely happy, but over here just means extremely thoughtful. सोचने लगा because he was just thinking only about the disease he was suffering from. He felt suddenly weak and overwhelmed, anxious, you can just say. With the cares of his life as an official in times such as these, when repeated victory brought great responsibilities all over the South Pacific. So he was just thinking about why he had become weak, because he had the great responsibility of the Japanese army. It is very unfortunate that this man should have walked up to your doorstep, he said irritably. वो देखो क्या तुम्हारा ही घर मिला था क्या मरने के लिए? I felt it so myself, Sadao said gently. It would be best if he could be quietly killed, the general said. Not by you, but by someone who does not know him. सबसे अच्छा है, we'll get him killed by some unknown person. I have my own private assassins. What are assassins? I've discussed. Assassins are murderers. Those who murder for political reasons, they are assassins. I have my own private assassins. मेरे पास बहुत सारे भाई लोग हैं, है ना? Suppose I send two of them to your house tonight, or better any night. You need know nothing about it. It is now warm. What would be more natural than that you should leave the outer partition of the white man's room open to the garden while he sleeps? So they just say you can keep the garden window open. I send two of my assassins, maybe tonight or some other night. You know nothing about it. Let the things look very natural. वो आएंगे उसको खत्म कर देंगे. Certainly, it would be very natural, Sadao agreed. In fact, it is so left open every morning. वो तो window तो मैं हमेशा खुली रखता हूँ. Good, the general said, yawning. They are very capable assassins. They make no noise and they know the trick of inward bleeding. If you like, I can even have them remove the body. They are experienced killers, experienced murderers, and they'll kill this person in such a way कि वो आवाज तक नहीं करेगा. गला ऐसे दबाएंगे, अंदर ही अंदर घुट के मर जाएगा. And will also get rid of the body. लाश को भी ठिकाने लगा देंगे. Sadao considered that perhaps would be best. Excellency, he agreed, thinking of Hana. He left the general's presence then and went home, thinking over the plan. In this way, the whole thing would be taken out of his hands. So now he would have no blame onto his head. किसी को पता ही नहीं चलेगा. He would tell Hana nothing, since she would be timid at the idea of assassins in the house. Timid, scared. But वो डर जाएगी if she comes to know such murderers are coming to her house. And yet, certainly, such persons were essential in an absolute state such as Japan was. How else could rulers deal with those who oppose them? So wherever war takes place, such assassins are there. Because those who oppose, उनको रातों रात ही खत्म करने के लिए such people were required. He refused to allow anything but reason to be the atmosphere of his mind as he went into the room where the American was in his bed. So now he had nothing else in his mind except getting rid of this white man. But as he opened the door, to his surprise, he found the young man out of bed and preparing to go into the garden. What is this? He exclaimed. Who gave you permission to leave your room? किसने बोला कहाँ जा रहे हो? I am not used to waiting for permission, Tom said gaily. Gaily is? Gaily. It's not a Hindi gaily. You will come. This meaning, this word has maybe two meanings. One meaning I won't discuss. The other meaning is happy. So gaily means happily. Tom said gaily, gosh, I feel pretty good again. But will the muscles on this side always feel stiff? मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है, but यहाँ पे क्या हमेशा ऐसे दर्द रहेगा? Is it so? Sadav inquired, surprised. He forgot all else. What all else? What else? So first he had planned to get rid of this white man, get him killed. सब कुछ भूल गया. अब उसको किसकी चिंता हो गई? अच्छा यहाँ पे दर्द हो रहा है. There's some stiffness. Now I thought I had provided against that, he murmured. He lifted the edge of the man's shirt and gazed at the healing scar. Massage may do it, he said, if exercise does not. अगर exercise नहीं तो यहाँ पे massage करो, हाथ ठीक हो जाएगा. It won't bother me much, the young man said. His young face was jaunt under the stubbly blonde beard. Jaunt, lean and thin. उसका चेहरा पतला दुबला था. Stubbly is that rough beard that pointed. He had not shaved, so the beard was pointed. Say, doctor, I've got something I want to say to you. If I hadn't met a Jap like you, well, I wouldn't be alive today. I know that. अगर आप जैसे जापानीज नहीं मिलता, मैं शायद जिंदा नहीं बचता. Sadav bowed, but he could not speak. Sure, I know that, Sadav, Tom went on warmly. His big thin hands gripping a chair were white at the knuckles. Knuckles is this part. Huh? I guess if all the Japs were like you, there wouldn't have been a war. Yes, right statement. He just says, और अगर सब Japanese आप जैसे होते, जान बचाने वाले, मारने वाले नहीं, ये लड़ाई नाम की चीज ही नहीं होती. Perhaps, Sadav said with difficulty. And now I think you had better go back to bed. He helped the boy back into bed and then bowed. Good night, he said. Good night, आखिरी night. Because he was waiting for the assassins. Sadav slept badly that night, could not sleep properly. Time and again, he woke, thinking he heard the rustling of footsteps. What is rustling? Rustling actually is a sound. But what sound? पैर की आवाज नहीं. Rustling is? नहीं. Rustle is the sound made by the leaves when they strike one another. जब पत्तियां टकराती है, जो आवाज आती है. So now he just thought in the garden, some must be walking on the broken leaves of the trees. He heard the rustling of footsteps, the sound of a twig broken, or a stone displaced in the garden, a noise such as men might make who carried a burden. So time and again usko laga jaise somebody is walking in the garden with the burden on the shoulders. Ram naam satya hai, utha ke le ja rahe honge usko. This is what he assumed. The next morning, he made the excuse to go first into the guest room. If the American were gone, he then could simply tell Hannah that so the general had directed. And he decided if the enemy soldier is not there, he'll inform Hannah about the plan he had made with the general. But when he opened the door, he saw at once that there on the pillow was the shaggy blonde head. Shaggy? Untidy, dirty. He did not like this white man. He just saw this man was sleeping. चैन से सो रहा था. He could hear the peaceful breathing of sleep, and he closed the door again quietly. He's asleep, he told Hannah. He's almost well to sleep like that. What shall we do with him? Hannah whispered her old refrain. Refrain is the same word which she repeated. हमेशा पूछती होगी, तो again and again she just told, अब हम क्या करेंगे? Sadav shook his head. I must decide in a day or two, he promised. एक दो दिन में कुछ करता हूं मैं. So he did not tell Hannah about the plan with the general. But certainly he thought the second night must be the night. There rose a wind that night, and he listened to the sound of bending boughs. Boughs are the branches of the tree. हवा चल रही थी और branches हिलने की आवाज आ रही थी. And the whistling partitions. Partitions are windows. The window was open. So sigh, that sound also was coming. Hannah woke too. Ought we not to go and close the sick man's partitions, he asked. So when the windows were making noise, the rattling sound was that, but let's close the window. No, Sadav said. He is able now to do it for himself. अपने आप को कर लेगा. But the next morning, the American was still there. So the general did not send him the second night also. Then the third night, of course, might be the night the आज की रात तो पक्का. The wind changed to quiet rain, and the garden was full of the sound of dripping eaves. What is eaves? Anyone? Dripping to falling? Eaves is the front part of the roof. जैसे छत होती है, this corner of the roof is called as eaves. तो पानी ऐसे बहते बहते टपक रहा था into the garden. And running spring. Spring is water. Sadao slept a little better, but some doubt. Yeah. Sadao slept a little better, but he woke at the sound of a crash and leaped to his feet. नींद आ रही थी. अचानक he heard some sound. What was that? Hannah cried. The baby woke at a voice and began to wail. Wail is to cry. बच्चे उठ गए, रोने लगे. I must go and see, Hannah said. But he held her and would not let her move. But Dr. Sadao caught the hand of Hannah. Sadao, she cried, what is the matter with you? क्या हो गया तुमको? Don't go, he muttered. Don't go. मत जा उधर. Why did it stop Hannah from going? Because he just thought that the assassins may have come. वे अपनी गेम बजा रहे होंगे. Don't go, he muttered. Don't go. His terror infected her, and she stood breathless, waiting. Hannah also was scared. There was only silence. Together, they crept back into the bed, the baby between them. Now they went to sleep. Yet, when he opened the door of the guest room in the morning, there was the young man, hale and hearty, abhi bhi mast jinda tha. He was very gay and had already washed and was now on his feet. Meaning, I told, he was feeling very happy, relaxed lag raha tha, enemy soldier. Why he looked to be happy? He had asked for a razor yesterday and had shaved himself, and today there was a faint color in his cheeks. Till now the beard was growing, it had become stubbly, but now, last evening he had asked for a razor and he had shaved. चिकना चकाचक होके बैठा था. I am well, he said joyously. आज मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है. Sadao drew his kimono around his weary body. Weary? Tired. He could not. He decided suddenly, go through another night. Now he decided, yes, I cannot bear this tension more. I cannot wait for one more night for the assassins. It was not that he cared for the young man's life. No, simply it was not worth the strain. It was not that he was tensed about the white man's life. Why was he worried? Because he knew the servants had gone. So he wanted to get rid of this man very quickly. You are well, Sadao agreed. He lowered his voice. You are so well that I think if I put my boat on the shore tonight with food and extra clothing in it, you might be able to row to that little island not far from the coast. But I give you my boat, clothes, food, everything. You take my boat and go to that island. It is so near the coast that it has not been worth fortifying. What is fortify? Fortifying means to keep a guard, to keep a watch. बताइए समुद्र के किनारे इतना करीब है कि यहाँ पे कोई गार्ड लगाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती. Nobody lives on it because in storm it is submerged. What is submerged? It is drowned. But this is not the season of storm. You could live here until you saw a Korean fishing boat pass by. Korea, neighbor of Japan, but it was enemy of Japan. It was supporting America. They passed quite near the island because the water is many fathoms deep there. So the Korean fishing boat, they don't go into the deep sea. They just pass through that island because it is not many fathoms deep. What is fathom? Anyone? यूनिट होगा नापने का. गुड. इट इज अ यूनिट नापने का. What नापने का? Fathom is the unit to measure the depth of water. Anyone knows the conversion? 1 fathom is how many feet? कुछ पता है? 1 fathom is equal to 6 feet. 1 fathom is equal to 6 feet deep. So how deep was the YMCA pool? 9 feet at the bottom. तो कितना fathom हुआ? करते रहना. चलो. 1.5. Okay. Many fathoms deep there. The young man stared at him slowly, comprehending. Yes, Dev, Jaydev, sahi answer hai. The young man stared at him slowly, comprehending. Comprehending, understanding. समझ रहा था वो. Do I have to ask? क्या मुझे सच में जाना पड़ेगा? I think so, Sadhav said gently. You understand. It is not hidden that you are here. अब ये बात छुपी नहीं होगी कि तुम यहाँ पर छुपे हो. The young man nodded in perfect comprehension. Okay, he said simply. Sadhav did not see him again until evening. As soon as it was dark, he had dragged the stout boat. Stout is strong. Stout is strong. The stout boat down to the shore, and in it he put food and bottled water. Bisleri की bottle भी रख दी. That he had bought secretly during the day, as well as 2 quills he had bought at a pawn shop. What is pawn shop? पान की दुकान. Pawn shop is just the place where the old things are sold. Anyone can tell me what is the meaning of this word pawn? P-A-W-N. As a verb, एक तो chess में होता है. When you play chess, that pawns. As a verb, what do you mean by the term pawn? P-A-W-N. Anyone? It is not, don't tell me fish, it is prawn. है ना? ये pawn की बात कर रहे हैं. The synonym of pawn is mortgage. What is mortgage? ये तो पता होगा. Mortgage is when you pledge something for need of money. कुछ चीज गिरवी रखना. गिरवी रखना is pawn. And लोग गिरवी रखते हैं चीज पैसे के लिए. And when the money is not received, this pawn brokers जो होते हैं वो चीज को बेच देते हैं. Okay, so where all things are sold. The boat he tied to a post in the water, for the tide was high. There was no moon, and he worked without a light. अमावस की रात थी, and he was working without the flashlight. Why without a flashlight? Because रात में काम करेगा टॉर्च से, दूर से नजर आ सकता था. He could be seen. When he came back to the house, he entered as though he were just back from his work. And so Hannah knew nothing. Hannah knew nothing about what is going on in the mind of Dr. Sadhav. Yumi was here today, she said, as she served his supper. Supper? Over here, dinner. Though she was so modern, still she did not eat with him. One more point for the character sketch of Hannah. In spite of being modern, America returned. But she still was traditional. पहले आप खाइए. She did not eat before her husband. पहले अपने पति को खिला के फिर वो खाती थी, है ना? पहले आप. Not like the modern wives of today. Still she did not eat with him. Yumi cried over the baby. She went on with a sigh. She misses him so. रो रही थी. उसको बच्चों की बहुत याद आती है. The servants will come back. Some doubts again. The servants will come back as soon as the foreigner is gone. But उसके जाते सब आ जाएंगे, चिंता मत करो. He went into the guest room that night before he went to bed himself and checked carefully the American's temperature, the state of the wound, and his heart and pulse. All medical checkup he did. The pulse was irregular, but that was because of excitement. This enemy soldier was very anxious. He was going towards freedom. So there was some pulse rate में थोड़ा सा change था. The young man's pale lips were pressed together and his eyes burned. Only the scars on his neck were red. So Sadao again saw those scars. कान के नीचे जो बजाया था उसको. But he did not again ask anything about those scars. This shows that Dr. Sadao nowhere at no moment did he have any attachment with this enemy soldier. I realize you are saving my life again, he told Sadao. Not at all, Sadao said. It is only inconvenient to have you here any longer. अब तुमको यहाँ पे रखना is inconvenient to me. Maybe I'm not saving your life. I might be saving myself. He had hesitated a good deal about giving the man a flashlight, but he decided to give it to him after all. It was a small one, his own, which he used at night when he was called. So during the emergency calls, Dr. Sadao used this flashlight, a torch, and then he decided to give it. Now he gave some instructions to him. If your food runs out before you catch a boat, he said, signal me 2 flashes at the same instant the sun drops over the horizon. Drops over the horizon means during sunset, not at night. तो सनसेट के टाइम पे when your food runs out, अगर तुम्हारा खाना कहीं भाग कर चला गया, food runs out means खत्म हो गया. If your food is finished, you are short of food, signal me twice with the torch at sunset. Do not signal in darkness, for it will be seen. So he's just giving each and every minute instructions to this white man. If you are all right, but still there, signal me once. So if all is well, signal me once with this flashlight. You will find fresh fish easy to catch, but you must eat them raw. A fire could be seen. Raw, kacha. Opposite, pakka. English word, raw. एक तो हो गया cooked. और fruits के लिए, ripe. R-I-P-E, ripe. Raw and ripe. But if you want fresh food, pick out the catch the fish, but eat it kacha. नहीं तो पकड़ सकते हो. Okay, the young man breathed. He was dressed now in the Japanese clothes which Sadao had given him. And at the last moment, Sadao wrapped a black cloth about his blonde head. So now the Japanese clothes were given to this enemy soldier, but उसके गोरे गोरे बाल थे. The golden hair was there. He covered it with the black cloth. Now Sadao said, now means, chalo, bye, sayonara. The young American, without a word, shook Sadao's hand warmly and then walked quite well across the floor and down the step into the darkness of the garden. Once, twice, Sadao saw his light flash to find his way. So the man, just to find his way, used the flashlight. But that would not be suspected. क्योंकि जमीन ground level पे वो मार रहा था. He waited until from the shore there was one more flash. Then he closed the partition. That night he slept. So now Sadao had a peaceful sleep because now no fear was there. Next day, Dr. Sadao is called in an emergency by the general. And after that, Dr. Sadao informs the general about the escape of this white man. The conversation now. You say the man escaped? The general asked faintly. क्या वो भाग गया? He had been operated upon a week before, an emergency operation to which Sadao had been called in the night. So in an emergency, Sadao was called in the night. For 12 hours, Sadao had not been sure that the general would live. It was an emergency. The general's condition was very critical and he just thought हो सकता है जनरल शायद ना बचे. The gallbladder was much involved. Then the old man had begun to breathe deeply again and to demand food. So it was nearly after 12 hours, remaining in a critical condition. The general regained consciousness and asked for food and water. Sadao had not been able to ask about the assassins. So far as he knew, they had never come. So the condition of the general was unstable. So Dr. Sadao could not discuss anything about the assassins with the general. And he knew that the assassins had never come to the house. And during these 7 days, for 7 days he could not speak. And for 7 days, Dr. Sadao could see the single flashlight signal coming from the shore. The servants had returned, and Yumi had cleaned the guest room thoroughly and had burned sulfur in it to get the white man's smell out of it. So much traditional. उसको उसकी बदबू तक नहीं चाहिए थी दुश्मन की. So this Yumi had burned the entire house with that of sulfur. The smoke of sulfur was spread everywhere. धुआं कर दिया था उससे to remove the stink of the white man. Nobody said anything. Only the gardener was cross. Cross means a bit irritated because he had got behind with his chrysanthemums. Chrysanthemums are flowers. They are pink and purple colored beautiful flowers. So the gardener was a bit irritated because the caretaking of the flowers was not done properly. वो अपने काम में थोड़ा पीछे हो गया. But after a week, Sadao felt the general was well enough to be spoken to about the prisoner. So for 7 days, Dr. Sadao did not speak to the general about the assassins. जब उसने देखा he is now stable. He spoke and he must have told that the man has escaped. So what was the response of the general? The first line of this paragraph. You say the man escaped. अब वो बोलता है क्या गायब हो गया? Yes, Excellency, he escaped. Sadao now said. He coughed, signifying that he had not said all he might have said. But he was unwilling to disturb the general further. उसको खांसी आ गई because he was trying to hide something. But the old man opened his eyes suddenly. That prisoner, he said with some energy, did I not promise you I would kill him for you? क्या मैंने वादा नहीं किया था तुमको उसको मार देने का? You did, Excellency, Sadao said. हाँ, आपने किया तो था. Well, the old man said in a tone of amazement. So I did. But you see, I was suffering a good deal. The truth is, I thought of nothing but myself. In short, I forgot my promise to you. मतलब मैंने वादा किया था, but I was only thinking about I had become self-centered about my bad health, and I forgot the promise made to you. So can we analyze over here that this general was dual-masked or dual-faced, and he only tried to show that he loved Sadao or he cared for Sadao? क्या हम ये एनालाइज कर सकते हैं कि सदाओ की उसको ज्यादा चिंता था कि अपनी चिंता थी? But he was just trying to show that I see that nothing happens to you. But why was he wanting to save Sadao? To save himself. वो अपनी जान बचाना चाहता था सदाओ को बचाकर. I forgot my promise to you. I wondered, Your Excellency, Sadao murmured. मैं भी जहां पढ़ा यही सोचता था कि क्या हुआ, क्यों हुआ, कैसे हुआ. It was certainly very careless of me, the general said. But you understand, it was not lack of patriotism or dereliction of duty. मेरी लापरवाही थी, but don't think that it is lack of patriotism. ये मत सोचना कि मेरी देशभक्ति में कोई कमी थी. और dereliction of duty. What is dereliction? What is dereliction? Dereliction of duty means not doing the duty deliberately. अपना कर्तव्य जानबूझ के नहीं निभाना। तो दिस इज व्हाट द जनरल सेड, ये मत सोचना कि मेरी देशभक्ति में कभी है या जानबूझ के मैंने ये काम नहीं किया। He looked anxiously at his doctor. If the matter should come out, you would understand that, wouldn't you? But if this matter, अगर ये breaking news बाहर आ गई about the escape of the white man, I hope that you will make everyone understand. तुम इस मैटर को संभाल लोगे। Because now who was at fault? Was Dr. Sadao on fault for saving the life of the enemy, or the general was at fault? उसकी लापरवाही से enemy soldier भागा था because Dr. Sadao had informed the general. So now the general looked to be worried. If the matter should come out, you would understand that, wouldn't you? Certainly, Your Excellency, Sadao said. He suddenly comprehended. Now Dr. Sadao understood that the general was in the palm of his hand and that as a consequence he himself was perfectly safe. So now Dr. Sadao felt relaxed, released, and he realized general ab meri mutti mein hai. Because who was to be blamed? It was the fault of the general. Because of his negligence the man escaped, and it was not because of Dr. Sadao. So whatever blame was on the head of general, on the head of Dr. Sadao, Dr. Sadao के सिर पर जो भी गुनाह था देशद्रोह होने का, it was control X and control V on the head of the general. Copy नहीं, control X, cut and paste. तो कट कर दिया ना, कॉपी थोड़ी हुआ गुनाह, उसके सिर से उसके सिर पे चला गया. As a consequence, he himself was perfectly safe. I can swear to your loyalty, Excellency, he said to the old general, and to your zeal against the enemy. Zeal is enthusiasm, anxiousness. बता, yes, मैं तो कसम खा सकता हूं कि तुम काफी वफादार हो और तुम्हारा दुश्मन के सामने बहुत उत्साह और जोश रहता है. You are a good man, the general murmured and closed his eyes. You will be rewarded. इनाम मिलेगा तुमको. शाबाश. But Sadao, searching the spot of black in the twilighted sea that night, held his reward. There was no prick of light in the dusk. Dusk is the evening time. Prick of light is the flashlight signal. So there was no signal of light from the shore coming that night. So now we can assume that for the other 7 days, this person was over there. But आज रात को वो signal नहीं आया. No one was on the island. His prisoner was gone, safe, doubtless, for he had warned him to wait only for a Korean fishing boat. Dr. Sadao had given the instructions, go only in the Korean fishing boat. He stood for a moment on the veranda, gazing out to the sea, from whence the young man had come that other night. Whence is where? So he was standing in the same veranda from where he had seen that white man come in an unconscious state to the shore. And into his mind, without any reason, there came other white faces he had known. So all those Americans who had helped him during his study and stay in America, those Americans' face came into front of his eyes one by one. First, the professor at whose house he had met Hannah. What is the name of this professor? Professor Harley. So those faces came in front of his eyes, whom he should have been very grateful, जिनका एहसानमंद होना चाहिए था. But he saw those faces with a critical view. गुस्से में, he saw those faces with repulsion, hatred. The professor at whose house he had met Hannah, a dull man, and his wife had been a silly, talkative woman. The first face came of this Professor Harley and his wife, that voluble, buck-bucky lady, in spite of her wish to be kind. But he saw this face with hatred. He remembered his old teacher of anatomy, who had been so insistent on mercy with the knife. What is mercy? Daya, pity. That show some humanity during surgery. चाकू से खून मत कर देना, चाकू से अच्छे से सर्जरी करना. Anatomy is that professor, study of human body. So now that professor who had made who had made Dr. Sadao into such a skilled surgeon by teaching him every atom of, by showing him very nicely every atom of the human body, जिसने उसको इतना काबिल सर्जन बनाया था. डॉक्टर सदाव शुड हैव बीन grateful to this person, but he disliked that person now. Why? All Americans were his enemies. He had nothing to do with the white man's now. And then he remembered the face of his fat and slatternly landlady. तो उसको लास्ट में slatternly is untidy, भद्दी, ugly looking. तो उसको अपने एक मोटी और भद्दी लैंडलेडी का चेहरा सामने आया. He had great difficulty in finding a place to live in America because he was a Japanese. So this landlady had given shelter in her house when the Americans would refuse to give shelter to any foreign students, particularly Japanese. तो उसको तो काफी एहसानमंद होना चाहिए था that this lady gave her house to stay. The Americans were full of prejudice, and it had been bitter to live in it, knowing himself their superior. So it was very difficult for the Japanese to live over there because the Americans thought they are superior and nobody would house or give shelter to the foreign students. How he had despised the ignorant and dirty old woman who had at last consented him in her miserable house. Dirty, मोटी, भद्दी लैंडलेडी, उसने अपने मिजरेबल हाउस, गंदे से हाउस, उसने उस गंदे से घर में उसको रहने का मौका दिया था. How he had despised is disliked, hated. So he had hatred for this landlady who had given shelter to him. He had once tried to be grateful to her because she had in his last year nursed him through influenza. But it was difficulty, for she was no less repulsive to him in her kindness. In the last year of his studies, Dr. Sadao was suffering from influenza, flu, what we call in a common term. He was not feeling well. So this lady had helped Dr. Sadao at that time. And when Dr. Sadao tried to be thankful, that lady did not accept it because Americans and Japanese were enemies. So Dr. Sadao should have been very grateful to this landlady. उसने उसकी मदद की थी, ध्यान भी रखा था जब बीमार था. He should have been thankful to this lady, but he saw this face with hatred. Reason? He had no liking for the Americans now. All Americans were his enemy. Now he remembered the youthful, haggard face of his prisoner, white and repulsive. Haggard, jaunt, lean and thin. उसको अपना वो पतला चेहरा दुश्मन का याद आया. कौन सा? वो गोरा बट नफरत भरा. Repulsion is the opposite of attraction. He saw this face of the white man Tom with hatred. Strange, he thought. I wondered why I could not kill him. कितनी अजीब बात है कि I did not like him, but I could not kill him. So this is about this chapter, the conflict of duties. Dr. Sadao till end could not understand what was it or why was it that he saved the life of this enemy soldier, the white man, POW Tom. Yes, I'll discuss everything, don't worry. So this is all about this chapter. Yes, some doubts. Ruthless means cruel. Shubham. Condemned means punished. Stout means strong. 1 fathom is equal to 6 feet deep. And faintly means in a weak way, weakly, kamzor. Is it okay, Shubham? Bough is branches of the tree. Bough is the branches of the tree. So yes, this is, excuse me. We're still not through with the syllabus. अभी तक complete नहीं हुआ है. We have just finished the literature section and the writing section. Still the reading section is pending. Yes, 16 marks का reading passages है. At least how to solve that we can discuss. To be attentive, please. I know there is nothing much to teach where reading comprehension is concerned. तो सिखाने को उसमें नहीं है कुछ. The instruction always written is read the passage and answer the questions that follow. This is what is written in the direction. But there are many students who don't follow the directions. What is written? Read the passage and then answer the questions. ऐसी की तैसी पैसेज पढ़ने की. कौन पैसेज पढ़े? हम तो क्वेश्चन पढ़ेंगे, आंसर ढूंढेंगे. तो जस्ट रीड द क्वेश्चन वंस. फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन पढ़ा, कीप ऑन सर्चिंग. नहीं मिला तो दोबारा पढ़ोगे. कहाँ गया? Then you try to underline. This is the way. I'd like to tell all of you, don't go for this reverse approach. It's a wrong approach. And this time the paper is only of 90 minutes and you have two passages and the weightage is 16 marks. मायने रखते हो. So go as for the directions, please. And how to solve it? Initially, just skim through the questions. Questions पे एक नजर मार लो. You can make use of this 20 minutes which will be given the revision time before the actual paper starts. Yes, you will get this 20 minutes. यहाँ वहाँ ताकने से अच्छा कि कौन बैठा है कौन बैठी है आसपास में छोड़ो उसको. Please focus on the paper. अभी से जा रहे हो. Make a logical, practical use of it. Read the passage or read the passages. Before it, first glance at the questions. Then read your passage 1. Maybe the question which you read earlier, कुछ तो दिमाग में बैठेगा when you read the passage. I don't say that at one reading you'll be able to get all the answers. Maybe you may have to reread it. दोबारा पढ़ना पड़ेगा. But 10 questions will be there in passage 1. You have to attempt any 9 of them. I'd also like to discuss the pattern of paper as per the board pattern, because what was given in the ROMs and what sample paper we have given, it is conflictory. थोड़ा सा उसके अंदर difference आया है. That also I'd like to clarify later on. From the first passage, you will be given 10 questions, you attempt any 9. And in the second passage, you will be given 8 questions, you have to attempt any 7. So only one option will be there from the each paragraph. So please read the passage carefully. You will have to read the passage. फिर एक क्वेश्चन देखे, passage will be there in the mind, you know what this passage is talking about. It can be a factual based, it can be based on a graph or something. So look at the things very carefully, because you only have 90 minutes. Because for 16 questions, you read the passage 13-14 times is sheer stupidity, illogically. Rather, 2 बार पढ़ के अगर सब कुछ समझ में आता है ढंग से, why read the passage to for 10 and 12 times just for searching each and every individual answers? So please read the passage carefully. Understand the things. Word meaning है, पूछा जाता है अगर And if you are confused between 2 or 3 word meanings, don't stop or don't say keep on thinking. You can just underline those words and come back later to that question afterwards. So for 1 mark, don't waste extreme time. You all know time management. 90 minutes, and you have to attempt 50 questions. You keep this thing at the back of your mind. So plan it accordingly. And don't think that 90 minutes आपके लिए समय है. At least last 10 or 15 minutes, keep it for yourselves again. To go through the answers or recheck your answers again. जल्दबाजी में mistakes may happen. OMR से fill up करना पड़ेगा if the exam is online, offline. Yes. तो please, आप सबको habit है, nothing to say that how to use the OMR, but please be very careful. Because one simple mistake can lead mistakes to all your answers. You know? So please, again, I just say the reading session is concerned, nothing much, but read the passage. First go through the question, read the passage, reread if you are unable to get the answers, and then start solving. You will realize कि answers ढूंढना बहुत easy हो जाएगा because many things will be there at the back of the mind कि ये इस paragraph में लगता है. Rather than reading the question and without understanding, you just keep on searching the answers from the passage. Please ये मत करना. And it may be that you may get all the answers correct in the way which some students do कि ऐसी की तैसी कौन passage समझे, मैं तो वही करूंगा जो मैं करता आया हूं इतने सालों से. I read the question, search the answer. Read the question, search the answer. You may end up answering all the answers correct, all the questions correct, but it may not be that बाकी के easy questions छूट जाए पीछे because of shortage of time. And this shortage of time will cause sadness, and this sadness will be only because of your lack of understanding of oneself. Keeping quiet, तुम्हारी लापरवाही, तुम्हारी कमजोरी के कारण, you take up a wrong approach and you may land up at this end. So please keep a check on this thing. Yes, I hope this part is clear, and the dates have been announced. You are aware of it. The English core exam for term 1 is on 3rd of December. Yes. So you have ample of time. Be prepared with whatever you have done in the class till now. You can go through the recordings, practice those DPPs, re-practice those test papers and so on. And for you, ample of practice is still there. We will be also having the full syllabus test. वो भी होंगे. उसकी डेट्स आपको मिल जाएगी. December में? November में. Yes, the dates will be announced. I don't know whether the schedule has been announced or not, but you will be aware. You will be having your offline बच्चों का they are planning for those students here who are here in the classroom. For them, it will be offline. They are planning the things in such a way. See, paper is not in the things the management decides. I can only get the paper ready. Now, moving on to the syllabus as disclosed by the CBSE earlier. The reading section was of कितना पहले 20 marks. Writing was of 8 marks, and the rest was literature 18. It was 11 plus 7, 11 marks for Flamingo and 7 marks for Vistas. So this is what the things were done. But those who have gone through the sample paper, yes, if not, now is the time, go through the sample papers. और जो sample paper में दिया है, paper शायद उसी तरीके से आ सकता है, and there is some contradiction in the syllabus which they have announced and the sample paper which they have issued by the boards. In that, the two passages you will be having 18 questions and you have to attempt 16. 1-6. It goes away from what they had announced earlier. Now moving on to your writing section, short compositions. In short compositions, the short composition, there are 5 questions given. You have to attempt 4. And in the long compositions, you will be given 7 questions. You have to attempt any 6. So you have to attempt how many questions? 8 questions out of 10. This is thing has been told. Sorry, 5 and 7, 4 and 6. You have to attempt 10 questions. You have to attempt 10 questions where writing section is concerned. And then the rest of the questions are from literature. So 18 plus 12, 30 questions are from reading and the writing section. The next 30 questions will be from your literature part. And out of those you have to attempt 26 or something aisa kuch hai. Yes. So don't get confused with what. Go with the sample paper. Be prepared. If these changes are there, that should not hamper your performance. आपके marking scheme को से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. And now what they have specified that out of 60 questions given, you have to attempt 50. All questions carry equal marks. This also they have specified. So the weightage comes out to be 0.8 marks for each question. 0.8 into 50 comes to 40 marks. But if you just go with the weightage of the pattern of the paper, then it becomes conflictory. But आप कंफ्यूज मत हो because this is happening many students. सर पेपर में ऐसा दिया है ना पैटर्न में आपने दिया है मैंने नहीं बनाया पैटर्न. We discuss the pattern whatever the board has issued and sample paper also the board has issued. So they may have made some changes at the 11th hour. उन्होंने लास्ट में कुछ चेंजेस किए होंगे अपने हिसाब से. Those things are not under our control. But you be prepared. Read and revise all the chapters carefully again. It's not that class में एक बार हो गया है, तो you'll be able to retain everything. And I know most of you must be regularly revising because of the PT, CT, and now the full syllabus test which will follow very soon. तो सबकी तैयारी रखना. Don't get confused at any place. The English paper should be a highly scoring one for all of you. ऐसा नहीं लगता है कि you will have any difficulty. Be confident enough. We still have some time. So we have done this last chapter, the enemy. Let's go and let's discuss some MCQs for this particular chapter. Yes, I put up the questions and I'll wait for the answers from you. Please don't open the answer key. मैं बीच में से questions पूछूंगा, है ना? So the DPP of the last chapter, that is this enemy, also has been uploaded on Resource along with the solution. And before I forget, one more thing. Oh, Samar. One more thing. We have PT4 coming up on this Sunday, 24th of October. The syllabus for PT4. The syllabus for PT4. The enemy, the third level, these two topics I have not till yet covered in any of the tests. And one more topic I am taking, letter to the editor. So these are the only 3 topics which are there for your PT4, scheduled on 24th of October. The 3 topics रखे, so you can be relaxed. So let's discuss a few questions from this chapter, the enemy. Please bear with me. And if you have any doubts at any time, you can send your messages, get your doubts cleared as per your convenience. Some doubts. Shubham, regarding the timings of the test, I don't know much, but yes, the test has been planned on 24th. You will get the things clarified. Don't worry at all. Okay, ready for the questions? Who said, why are we different from the other Japanese? The options: Dr. Sadao, Yumi, Hana, or the general. It was Hana who said, why are we different from other Japanese? She did not wish to be left alone with the white men. She did not wish to be alone with the white men. In spite of having studied in America, why does Hannah feel so? That she did not want to stay with this white man alone. I give the options. Her husband had warned her against the Americans. कि अमेरिका से दूर रहना उसके लिए. He was someone she recognized from her past in America. उसको देख के अपना कोई अमेरिका पुराना पहचान वाला याद आ गया. America and Japan were not allies. Allies were not allies in the ongoing war. That is, they were enemies. उसके लिए, yeah. Being Japanese, it wasn't appropriate to stay with a stranger. Japanese होने के नाते stranger के संग नहीं रहना था. Because Japan and America were not allies now. One more next question. Why did Dr. Sadao give his flashlight to the enemy soldier? To show him the way in the dark. Second option, to help him. Third, so that he could send him signal in case of any help. Or fourth, all of these. ये जब मत माने कि all of these में हमेशा all of these ही होता है, but yes, over here it's all of this to help him, to assist him so that when he needs, he can ask for help, and to show him his way in the dark. जब वो जा रहा था अंधेरे में काम आने के लिए. When did Dr. Sadao feel that he got his reward as a doctor? Option 1. When the general gave him recognition and promised the reward. तुम अच्छे इंसान हो, तुमको इनाम दिया जाएगा. उस दिन उसको इनाम मिला. When Hannah appreciated him, उसको तब मिला. When the POW could escape, उस दिन. Or when the servants returned back to work. When Hannah appreciated it, उस दिन उसको इनाम मिला. कुछ भी. When the POW could escape, because that is the day he got his reward, because there was no signal from the shore that night. So when that person escaped, that is the day he got his reward. Why did the general spare the white American soldier? To spare his own life? He himself was in pain? He needed Dr. Sadao's help, or all of these? Yes, some answer from the online students also. Why did the general spare the white man, the white American soldier? To spare his own life, अपने खुद की जान बचाने को. He himself was in pain. उसको तकलीफ थी, उसके लिए उसने बचाने की सोची अमेरिकन सोल्जर को, not kill him, or get it eliminated. He needed Dr. Sadao's help, or all of these? The correct answer is all of these. Why? He spared the white men to save Dr. Sadao. And why he wanted to save Dr. Sadao? These are the various reasons which follow. He himself was in pain. He wanted to save Dr. Sadao because he needed the help of Dr. Sadao, and he wanted to spare his own life. So the correct answer is all of these. Why did the surgeon speak sharply to his wife? When Dr. Sada was doing the surgery, why did he speak sharply to his wife? To get her attention? To make Yumi understand the responsibility, Yumi को समझाने के लिए वो अपनी बीवी पे चिल्लाया. To stop any disturbance that could lead to harm the wounded man, or none of the above. It is to see that the enemy soldier does not get disturbed. Which of the following character traits are highlighted in Dr. Sadov? Sincere and responsible citizen, a compassionate human being. What is compassionate? Dayalu, Dayavan. An excellent doctor. All of these. The correct answer looks all of these. What did Dr. Sadov decide to do when the assassins did not come? He decided to hand him over to the police. He decided to send him to America. He decided to kill the prisoner himself, or he decided to help him escape. He decided to help him escape. Yes. How did the general feel at the end after his conversation with Dr. Sadov? How did the general feel at the end? Rejuvenated and guilt-free, proud and egotistic, relieved and guilt-free, or refreshed and self-conscious? I repeat the options. Rejuvenated and what is rejuvenated? The meaning क्या आ जाओ. You should know the meaning, then you will be able to come with the answers. And the exam, please, in sample papers also such tricky words have been used. So please go to the sample papers also. Rejuvenated is re-energized, energetic. So did the general feel energetic when he came to know? Or he felt relieved and guilt-free? Or he felt proud and egotistic? Or he felt refreshed and self-conscious? He felt relieved and guilt-free. He was given assurance by doctor. So he just felt, हाँ, अब मैं भी गुनहगार नहीं हूँ. So he felt relieved and guilt-free. At what age did Dr. Sadov come back from America? ये 25 कहाँ से आ गया तुम्हारा आंसर? ऑप्शन तो बोल सुनने देते. चलो ऑप्शंस 25, 28, 22 or 30. He came back at the age of 30. गया था 32? 22. War between which two nations has been specified in this chapter? Yes. Why was Dr. Sadov never sent abroad with the troops? Why was Dr. Sadov not sent abroad with the troops? His father did not allow him because Dr. Sadov himself remained ill. He was suffering from COVID. Because the general remained ill, or all of these? C. Because the general remained ill. Even in sample paper go through or the question bank net पे है. Yes. So I'll again tell, please go through the question bank also. It's there on the net. Google पे है सब. The question bank issued for the teachers. Some very nice questions has been put up over there. Might feel a bit different. Some idiomatic type of questions. Some reasoning based questions. Statement assumption. Cause effect. Such type of questions are also there. I will be putting up those type of questions in the full syllabus test also. PTCT में तो नहीं रखे, but in other things, all those things I'll try to put up. But it will be very helpful if you go through all those things at an early time. ताकि बाद में टेंशन ना हो कि what is this? You can get questions like two statements are given. Whether one is true, the second is false, or one is the cause, the other is the effect, or so on. So various type of such reasoning based questions also you can expect in your exams. Yes? So please go through all the things again. रीडिंग सेक्शन में तुमको टेस्ट में इतने सारे वो मिल जाएंगे ना. You want I can give the DPPs for reading session, but what's the use again? It's not the same passage is going to come. तो प्रैक्टिस टेस्ट में मिल जाएगी ना आपको. सैंपल पेपर का प्रैक्टिस करो और उसका भी प्रिंट आउट में निकाल के दो. It is not in my hand, but I can't do print all those things. The management decides do's and don'ts. Yes, I can only teach, I can only make the things ready, and I can only try to convince them. I shared your message with them, but I'm sorry. Yeah. How did Dr. Sadao get rid of the American soldier? By asking him to go to the island, by giving him food and clothes, by giving him flashlight to use in time of distress. All of these. Simple, straightforward answer, all of these. Why did the messenger come to the doctor after the servants left the house? The second thing happened. Why did the messengers come? To consult the doctor, to pay a casual visit. Hi doctor, what's up? ये पूछने. To ask about the servants whereabouts, कि servants काम छोड़ के क्यों चले गए, ये पूछने. Or to inform about the general's pain. It is D for doctor, to inform about the general's pain. On what date did the POW come to the shore in October, है ना? On which date? Yes, online. On which date did the enemy soldier come in an unconscious state in front of the house of Dr. Sadao? क्या याद आ गया ना? 7 days after what? For 7 days after 14th February. दिमाग में रख सकते हो if you get confused. So such type of tricky questions can be there. Because all these things are overlooked when we read the chapters. So read and everything very carefully. Go to the module, go to the chapters, go to the DPPs again. Go through those subjective questions also which have been given along with the module. All those things will help you out in attempting the paper. So I think this is all where the English class for term 1 is concerned. So focus on your studies now. Be relaxed, be cool enough, and you can easily score 40 out of 40 in English. It is not at all difficult to score full marks. So all the best to all of you for all the exams. and see you again hale and hearty, fresh and rejuvenated after the Diwali vacations in the second term for term 2. आपके एग्जाम के बाद ही होगा term 2, no doubt. पर नो डाउट दिवाली वेकेशंस के बाद. So happy Diwali to all of you. Very in advance. है ना? वैसे भी मिलते रहते आधे बच्चे तो फ्लोर पे भटकते हो, ये रहता ही है उधर. Yes. So enjoy your vacations also, enjoy your studies also, and see you again very soon. Thank you all.